Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Jen and Sharon. How are you, Sharon?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a little gray here today, but it's not too cold or anything. It's a nice fall day, so
It's actually very
I'm
mild.
not complaining about that.
I went for a walk this
Yeah.
morning and I was pleasantly surprised. It was quite temperate out. I'm going to enjoy it while I can.
Yeah.
We have a little coffee crisis
Yeah.
in the Pro family household today. We have this much coffee left after the first pot, so there wasn't enough to make more. So I feel like I'm on a talk show today because there's just water in my mug, but I have a cute mug.
Ah.
What
Well,
do you?
I had my own shopping crisis because I put my cereal in the bowl and I put my fruit on it and I was all ready to eat it. And then I opened the fridge and remembered that the milk was gone, which I knew yesterday because I used it up. And I didn't go shopping yesterday, and neither did anybody else in my house. So maybe I'll see you at the grocery store later shopping for coffee and milk.
Yeah, probably. I thought you were going to say.
I do have tea. I have my tea.
That's good. That's a good alternative. And you often have tea anyway, so that's good. I thought you were going to say that the milk had spoiled because now that I'm an empty nester, that actually can happen sometimes. Like you think it lasts forever because you just don't know because you haven't had to test it because your kids eat it up or drink it regularly. But two people who don't use a lot of milk, there is a shelf life. This is a PSA, people. Sniff your milk. It might not be good.
Yeah. And I know this isn't today's topic, but when I was a kid, we were pretty much required to drink milk at 3 meals a day. So as a family of 7, we went through gallons. I don't know how many gallons because I wasn't doing the shopping, but yeah, it's a different story now. Nobody in our house drinks that much milk.
I know it's fallen out of favor a little bit. Yeah, we actually had a milkman. I don't know if you did, but we had a milkman who delivered.
Oh my gosh! You coming home from school for lunch and having a milkman? You would think that
I'm like little house on the prairie here.
That you were a senior citizen or something.
Yeah, we had a milk chute. That's where the milkman would come and put the milk in the milk chute. And on more than one occasion, when I had forgotten my key to the house, I would just crawl through the milk chute to get in the house.
Really? It's big enough. This is shocking.
Yeah,
we need to have some sort of throwback episodes at some point.
I would excel at that. I'm just getting into that age group where I would excel at that, I think. So that's not really what we came here to talk about today. What does that remind me? Because I am getting old. What are we talking about today?
Well, we are inspired both by the time of year and by Holly Corby's article in our newest edition of Your Teen, the print magazine. Jen and I don't just drink coffee and tea and talk to each other. We're actually both editors at the Your Teen magazine. And we had this great feature about talking to kids about politics and getting active in civic life and, how we can inspire them and they can teach us. And we thought we'd talk about that today and some of our voting memories and our experience with our kids and getting into all that. We're not going to talk about actual political views and we're not going to put that in the comments. And so hopefully we can all do that so that we can just, be Americans today and not anything else other than that. But one thing, speaking of throwbacks, I was thinking about this today when I was preparing for talking to you. I was thinking about when I went voting as a child with my parents. Did your parents bring you ever, Jen?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. My mom was big into civics.
I can't hear your sound right now. Hopefully everybody else can.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? No hearing?
No. Hold on, everybody.
Let me see if I did anything here. I'm going to mute and okay.
Maybe Jessica, our lovely producer, can let us know whether she can hear us if she's still listening to this, or somebody can comment.
Yeah, look at the comments. She says she can hear us both, but it's your headphones. So take out your headphones. I'm going to pantomime now.
Jen looks like she's signing now. So I don't know.
Sharon, take out.
We may have to troubleshoot and come back, or
I don't think Sharon would the comments. Okay, this is. Oh wait, I have a better idea. I'm gonna text you.
I don't know what she's saying. I think she's gonna text me. This is very exciting. This
Yes,
is real life happening right now.
Out. This is hilarious.
I think Jen can hear me.
Yes, I can.
She can hear me. It's like a take out your headphones.
Yes.
Me?
Yes. You.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
No, that doesn't help. It does not help.
Okay.
Jen assumes.
Jessica can.
Jen is. I am taking out my headphones now for good because now I want to make sure that hear us both. It must be just me. Okay. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. So maybe it's my stupid headphones. All right.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I'm sorry.
That required all of my charades ability, which, as you can see, is terrible. Two syllables. Sounds like headphones.
All right. If anyone's still with us, they deserve a prize. So, can you? They heard already, but can you tell us about voting with your parents when you were younger?
I didn't get very far into it because this drama unfolded.
Were there like horses involved and like hoop skirts and like milkmen?
Yeah, no, we had to go and like use an X, some chalk on the back of the shovel. That's how we had to vote. No, what I was starting to say is that civics was very important in my house growing up. My parents were both always big about voting, and we have a chalkboard. We actually did have a chalkboard in our kitchen, and on voting day, my mom would like vote early and often. Form of humor. So yes, it was a big deal. How about in your house?
Yeah, it was definitely a big deal, and they always voted. My parents still in their 80s are, they've never missed an election. And it was really something we would talk about. Everything would stop when the president was on TV. Mm-hmm. We would eat dinner in front of the TV, which was like a special treat. Mm-hmm. And I used to get annoyed when like congressional hearings would come on. Maybe I was home for the summer and I wanted to watch The Price is Right, but there were like Iran-Contra hearings or something like that. Mm-hmm. Something I didn't want to hear, but it was definitely a regular thing. And the voting booth I thought was particularly fun because the kind we had, you walked in and there was a curtain like mm-hmm. that. Did you have this kind where there was like a pull cord where the curtain would open, and then when you went in, it would close, and then there was this giant board, and you actually had little switches. All the candidates would appear on this board, and there were a little switch where you would turn it, and an X would appear in your candidates. So after you looked at the whole board and you made all your selections, there was a big lever at the end. And when you pulled the big lever, it would lock in the votes and the curtains would open, and it was extremely exciting.
Wow, that's like the Wizard of Oz. Like you into that man behind the curtain. That's very cool. I do not recall that. I think our ballots were always pretty basic, paper ballots. I remember punching. That like they punch it through.
I did not do that until I moved to Ohio. Yeah. So I voted in 2 states before that. I voted in New Jersey, where I grew up, and I voted in Virginia, where I briefly became a resident while I was in graduate school. And then I moved to Ohio, and it was the least sophisticated version that I ever had.
Okay, but it's unhackable.
Well, except that, remember, we're old enough, and so are our fellow parents who follow your teen. We're old enough to remember the 2000 election and all the controversy over Chads and hanging Chads. And the 2000 election was the first time I ever had to. You would get a little pointy metal thing to poke out the Chad next to your candidate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then remember the controversy over butterfly ballots
oh my God, don't even get me started. I
had that too in 2000, and I was thinking,
I was 25 years old. So, I was hip and I should be able to deal with the new technology or whatever, roll with things. I was like, this is actually kind of confusing. I had to double check to make sure I picked the right candidates.
I think that's terrible how confusing it can be. And that's actually one of the things that I am very focused on in this election is because my kids are at college and they have requested absentee ballots, which is a great idea. I did a little bit of reading up on it, and I realized that there are like 20 different ways you can accidentally spoil your absentee ballot.
Yeah.
So somebody wrote a really good article about it. I think it was, it might have been in Reuters. It was some very unbiased news source. It was like, here are some things you might need to know when you're filling out your absentee ballot. So I very carefully read it, and I put in the link, and I said, when you get your absentee ballot in the mail, you might want to call us, and because we've done this before and you haven't, and we can remind you of a few things, like the fact that there's an inside envelope and an outside envelope, and that you have to make sure you've signed it. There's several things. There are steps in the process. And if you've never done it before, and if you're kind of not used to reading instructions,
it's like all those, things we sign away on the internet. Oh yeah, I read the terms and conditions. Oh yeah, I read that.
Right. We don't
want to do that.
I've watched my kids, the way they fly through screens. They're like, next. And I'm like, you got to slow it down and really read it, because there are, 50 ways to ruin that. So
I heard one common one is forgetting to put your birth date on there.
Oh, yeah. A lot of times people will put today's date.
Oh, that must be why.
Do not put today's date here, because you're used to seeing a field for a date. You're like, oh, today's whatever. No, it's your birth date. So that is one that's on the list. Some states require postage, some don't. So you really have to coach them through this. It is not that obvious.
Is this your kid's first presidential election?
It is.
Are they excited?
They're super, super excited.
Did they both vote before?
Yes, they have voted. Oh no, actually, I'm thinking one of them has not, because she has a late birthday, so she really only just turned old enough. But the other one has voted before. And the other thing that's confusing to them is, and this might be something to talk about with going to college kids, is they were unclear whether they should register to vote at home, register to vote where they live in college. And what we discovered is it's probably really better if they register at home and get the absentee ballot, because you have to re-register every time you move to a new address.
Yeah.
So you have the same address, like for the post office box where you send them the care package every year. They keep their mailing address. Their street address is different, and it has to be pegged to your street address. So to avoid having to re-register every year, I highly recommend that you're going to college kids. They register at home, and they can have the absentee ballot sent. You can also choose what your mailing address is, which could be different from where you're registered. So you could have them have their mailing address will be at home, or they could change their mailing address to the college. So, and that's what one did one and one did the other, because pandemic. We weren't sure, are they going to stay at college? It got very complicated this year. So,
well, I'm glad they got them. Did they receive them yet? Because
not yet, but I get the informed delivery on my, I can see on my email what mail I'm getting every day, because we have very unreliable mail delivery, unfortunately. And I can see that 3 of them are coming to my house today, our absentee ballots, and 1 is not. And so the kid who has her mailing it still at school, hopefully we'll get hers at school.
So your voting plan, Jen, is to also absentee vote?
Yes, this year, I've always loved voting in person. I have to say, I'm an in-person voter. I love it. I love the feeling of it. I love that I'll go in there and we're like, doing my civic duty. I love to get a sticker. I love all that. But just because of the coronavirus uncertainty this year, I thought, but I'll just do this. And the other nice thing about voting absentee is that you can really research your choices. And where we live, there's something called Judge for Yourself. We elect judges, and a lot of places don't.
It's crazy.
Which I think is crazy. But so, like, how do you know who's a good judge and who's not a good judge? So now you can go to this, judgeforyourself.com, and you can see all their bar ratings.
Yeah, it's like the Bar Association says, whether they're, they're professionally, whether they have a good record, not politically, like whether have their act together and are good lawyers and judges. So nonpartisan.
So Jessica put a little comment in here saying that, Sharon, if you could read this, turn down the volume on your device, because it's like,
oh, good gosh, I'm all kinds of problems today.
I know. What is the deal? I don't
know. I actually have to go to the Apple store tomorrow because it's a miracle my phone is doing this, because my phone has been not cooperating. It's a year. It's like 15 months old. Yeah. And it thinks that it doesn't want to do anything that I want it to do. So the fact that I'm on here is probably good. But
so just in case we are not able to continue with the video if it's not working well, we should remind people where they can find this great article that we wrote that gives all sorts of ideas for how you can involve your teen in civics, even if you're not old enough to vote. Because let's face it, most of our teens are not.
Oh, look, it's already posted. It's posted in our comments. How nice.
You're the most awesome production manager.
I also want to add a PSA saying that I hope that people will consider voting in person, because something that happened to me a couple weeks ago, my daughter was playing with a friend. The friend got sick the next day. They were outside and they were masked, but she got a COVID test, the friend. And she had to wait 3 to 5 days to find out whether her COVID test was positive or negative. It was negative. Thank goodness for everybody. But while we were waiting for the results, we just figured our whole household should stay at home and quarantine, because we didn't know whether our house had been exposed to the virus. So I was thinking to myself, if it was election day and I had to be quarantined, or anybody in my house had to be quarantined, even if I wasn't sick myself, I wouldn't be able to go in person. So there's just, that's something I hadn't thought of before, but you don't even have to be sick to not be able to go to the polls. So
true.
I'm going to go early in person.
Early in person. If you live somewhere where there's early voting, I think that's a great idea. I always enjoy taking the kids with me to vote too, to show them how I do it. And I also, I think it's important to show them the process of researching issues ahead of time, because how many times do you go in and then there's an issue on the ballot and you're like, oh, I kind of forgot to look at this. And the wording on these issues can be really confusing.
Yeah.
And it can sound like it's for something you're for, but it's not. And so one of the sources that I'm a big fan of is the League of Women Voters, because they are nonpartisan. They provide research on issues and candidates, and they can give you the pro and the con of every issue. They'll just spell it out for you. So I find them to be an excellent resource, and everybody can find them online.
And there are also links in the article that was posted, and one of them, you can look up a particular issue and see where each candidate stands. It's called Issue Voter, I think, like something like that. So there's a number of really helpful websites where you can inform yourself about the things that matter most.
Yeah, and that's a great job to give to your kids and say, my kids really wanted to vote in the last election, and what I could have done was to say, I know you feel frustrated that you can't make your voice heard, but you can help me be a better informed voter by helping me research the issues and that we care about, so whatever that issue is. So, give them a little bit of homework and give them
a great idea.
Give them the training wheels, and then when they are available and ready to do their independent voting, they'll have these resources available.
Yeah, I love that. I might steal that because mine aren't old enough to vote. And by the next presidential election, I'll have 1 voter. And then by the one after that, I'll have 3 voters. So it's coming up for everybody, and it's time to get informed. So
absolutely. All right.
Should probably let our friends go.
Yes, we hope everybody votes. That is the main thing. Everybody should vote if you can. It's such an amazing privilege that we have. So we hope you vote. We hope you help teach your teens how to become informed voters. And please read the article, because there's so much we didn't get into, but it's all there for you and to help make sure your teen becomes an active, good citizen. And we could all use that, right?
Awesome. All right. Bye, everybody. Sorry about my problems. Hopefully I'll be cured next week and I won't torture everyone.
Have a good week, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Bye.